now, because that's
Okay.
what I'm going to give you today. And one of the things that I'm going to encourage you to do, um, sometimes people like, oh, a script. I don't want to have a script because then I will sound canned. And if you've ever gotten a call from somebody that you know is reading a script, like I used to get these calls from when they were back when they were trying to flip telephone companies, and you get a call, hello, is this Mr. or Mrs. Scott? And I'm like, you couldn't tell from my voice. Mr. or Mrs. Scott, this is, you're not going to be like that, but you're going to learn a script that the more you use it, the more you deliver it, the more natural it will become. Just like if you've ever been to a Broadway play, they have a script that they learn that they sometimes tweak because they find something works a little bit better for them than others. But
Mhm.
I'm going to encourage you to learn the script that you're going to get today and then make it your own by using it over and over and over again through practice, drill, rehearse, and actual usage with customers.
Perfect.
Good
Thank you.
question. Any other questions? All right, let's get right into it. So this is the first page of the buyer presentation. What it is, it's a meeting. We call it a presentation, but it's really a conversation. Conversation where you're going to do as much listening as you do talking. But it's a meeting between you and the prospective buyers to discuss their real estate needs, explain the process, and to offer solutions. Okay. Just updated. You can't even download it yet because, and I'm going to show you where you'll find it when it's there and ready, but, and it will be within the next couple of weeks, but brand new, this presentation that you're going to see today. So when you log into my Weichert, on the left-hand side of the screen, down at the bottom of the menu list, there is a menu item that says Weichert Tools. When you click on Weichert Tools, it's going to take you to a screen that looks like this with a bunch of tiles. And one of the tiles is this tile that says My Marketing Studio. My Marketing Studio. And this presentation is here so that you can customize it, so you can personalize it, so that you can make it your own. Okay. When you click on that My Marketing Studio, it'll take you here. Oh, for the second part of this is for the buyer needs assessment, which I'm going to show you. You go to Weichert University, you click on home ownership, and it'll take you here. And what the buyer needs assessment is, it's your dossier of information about your customer, where you keep that information to help you do a better job of helping them find what they're looking for and help you do a better job of closing the sale. Okay. A lot of people have I call it an inaccurate idea of what a good salesperson is. A lot of people think good salesperson is just somebody that can talk your ears off and make you buy something that you don't really want. And that's not what a good salesperson is. A good salesperson understands that they listen more than they talk. They listen to what the customer tells them, because if you ask enough questions and you learn enough about your customer, remember that open-ended questions like, why are you looking for that? Tell me about you. Get them to open up. They'll tell you things that will help you do a good job for them. And that's how we build rapport with customers. Okay. That's how we build rapport with customers. I'll show you exactly what I mean. A couple more slides in. Okay. All right. You got to write this down. This is something that I learned early in my real estate career, which started, seems like, a million years ago in the previous millennium. But when I was a new realtor like you, I was in the Tampa, Florida area. I went to a real estate seminar at my local board of realtors, and they had brought in this top name real estate trainer. By the way, back in those days, the stage buggy days of real estate, we didn't have computers and slide decks and PowerPoint presentations and all that fancy stuff. Our guy had a handout, and he had a chalkboard and an easel pad that he could write on. And when he started, he went up to the easel pad and he wrote on the easel pad, he said, before I get started, I want to learn more about you and what you know about real estate so I know where to start. And he said, he wrote these 3 letters on the easel pad: P, P, C. And he said, what you need to know is these are the 3 most important activities in real estate, the 3 most important skills that you have to develop in real estate, and they're all important. Let me tell you what the first P stands for. It stands for prospecting. If you want to build your business, you have to learn to talk to strangers. You have to learn to meet new people. You have to learn to ask people to do business with you. That's prospecting. Second P, that P stands for presentation. If you want to be good in real estate, you have to learn presentations. You have to learn how to present yourself. You have to learn how to present your services. You have to learn how to present what you're going to do. Buyer presentation, doors presentation, seller presentation, and things like that. Very important. And he said, C. C stands for closing. You have to be willing to ask a closing question, okay? If you want to be successful in real estate and you want to close deals and you want to earn commissions. He said, all are important. However, one of these 3 skills is more important than the other 2. I want to find out if you know what it is. Now, I'm not going to ask you this question because it was kind of embarrassing for the 350 people that were in the room at his seminar when we did this. But he asked, he said, how many of you think prospecting is more important? I'm going to say half a dozen people raised their hand, including me. I thought that was the most important at the time. He said, huh, interesting. He said, how many of you think presenting is most important? Another 8 or 10 people raised their hand. Again, 350 people in this room. He goes, huh, interesting. How many of you think closing is most important? And literally almost everybody in the room, including people that had already voted for one of the other 2, raised their hand. And he walked over to by the thing and he spit on the floor and he goes, oh my Lord, he said, I got here just in the nick of time. You people don't know anything. And he said, all are important, but let me tell you why presentation is most important. He said, if you don't have a presentation, if you don't know what you're going to say, you'll never develop the confidence to be able to prospect effectively. By the same token, if you don't have a good presentation, you'll never develop the foundation to be able to ask a closing question and get the person to say yes. And I don't know why most people think closing is the most important thing. Maybe it's because of the movies that we've seen or that old saying, always be closing, always be closing. But closing is not really a big thing. Closing is asking little questions that people can say yes to, so that when you ask a bigger question, like maybe it starts with, do you like this neighborhood? What do you think of the houses on this street? Do you like the way this house looks from the street? Do you like the floor plan? Like the kitchen? You want to buy it? Little questions that lead up to asking the question that's the big question, but it makes it seem like a little question because you have a good presentation. And so it's really important that you learn this presentation that we're about to learn today. So back to the buyer presentation, in person or virtually, and talk more about that like we're doing today. Analog, which means you print it out and you present it at the table. I like that way. I've been in the business a long time. I think people are more likely to get engaged and flip the pages back and forth and things like that. You can also deliver it on a laptop computer or a tablet. So however you want to do it is fine, but you want to learn to do this presentation. More important today than ever before. Why? 5 reasons, excuse me. First, it gives you an opportunity to explain your job. Now, you may not know this, may not have thought about this, but here's what most people think a realtor's job is. Drive around their fancy luxury cars, have fancy lunches with their friends and their colleagues, snoop around in other people's closets, get paid millions of dollars for doing that. That's not what we do at all. So it's an opportunity to explain your job. Second thing, to prepare them to buy at the right price when they find the right house. And there's a page in here where we're going to talk about that. I'm going to show you that. Really, really important. Third reason, build loyalty. You want the person to know that you're going to be hard at work for them, and you want to be able to count on them that you're going to be their realtor. Build loyalty. Today, maybe the most important of the 5 things on this page, protect your compensation with a signed professional fee agreement. Now, we're not going to discuss the agreement again, because as I told you earlier, different in different areas, different in different markets, different in different states. This is what you have to get with your broker, owner, trainer, manager, mentor, coach, whatever about. But it's got to happen that you got to get that compensation professional fee agreement signed. And then the last thing actually, as I was teaching this, one of my brokers gave this back to me and he says, let me give you one more reason to put on your list. When you do this, you're so much more effective. You sell more houses in less time, and that gives you an opportunity to sell more houses, earn more money. I said, I like that. I'm going to add that to my list. Okay. So let's get to it. Again, the covers. So you've made an appointment. The people are in your office Saturday morning, 10 o'clock. You meet them in the lobby, and this is what you're going to say. I call this the meet them, greet them, take them to the conference room dialogue page. And I'm going to read it to you, and then I'm going to tell you that there's a lot of psychology involved in this and what it is, sales psychology. Hey, thanks for coming in today. I want you to know I've scheduled some great homes for us to see today. Before we go, I'd like to spend a few minutes to give you an update on the market so you know what to expect. Now, I probably wouldn't do the yous like that. I did that for emphasis for you, but it's thanks for coming in. So everybody likes to be appreciated. A little bit of psychology there. I've scheduled some great homes for us to see today. That's what they're here for, confirmation dialogue. Before we go, I'd like to spend a few minutes to give you an update on the market so you know what to expect, customer benefit. And then the last part is, would that be okay? And let me tell you why that's important in the psychology behind that. What we know about human beings is that when we ask permission, permission is granted, two things happen. They're more likely to answer our questions candidly when we ask them questions, and they're much more likely to pay attention to what we say. So again, this is your first dialogue when you meet them in the reception area, and you take them to the conference room. And then you open your presentation up, whether you're using a laptop, a tablet, or the analog version. And you might say something like this. And by the way, when you get this, you'll see the script that I'm recommending that you start with on every single page. So this is your first page, and you say, listen, I've created this custom home ownership consultation to update you on the market and the process that I'll use to help you find a great home for you and your family. And then you go to the next page. And then you say something like this. These are some of the things we'll be reviewing today. Now, I'm going to take a pause here to give you a little bit of coaching. When I was first learning a presentation and using a visual presentation like this, I felt that I had to read everything on the screen. Don't do that. Don't do that. No matter how fast you talk, and I can tell you some of my colleagues in New Jersey can talk so fast and make your head spin. No matter how fast you talk, your customer can read faster than you talk. So you want to do a few highlights, a few bullet points. So when I turn to this page and they're looking at this page, in the presentation, I'm going to say something like this. These are some of the things we'll be reviewing today. I want to spend a little more time to make sure I understand what's really important to you and your family. By the way, that's going to save us a lot of time so that we can focus on the homes that have what you're really looking for in a new home. And I'll also give you an update on what's happening in the market here in Miami, here in Atlanta, here in Dallas, here in Chicago, here and wherever you are. And then you go to the next page. Or excuse me, and then you go to the second part of the dialogue and you say, the home buying process today is a bit more complicated than most people realize. I'm going to walk you through all the steps so you know exactly what's important and what to expect. I'll also review the advantages of you being represented by a competent realtor and then the next steps to finding your new home. Sound good? By the way, that's a closing question, confirmation dialogue to get them to say, yeah, sure. Okay. And then we go to the next page. Now, this is one of the pages that you have to personalize once you're able to log into the marketing studio and get access to this, which should be within the next couple of weeks. But here is where you want to put information. So you started working on that profile. You started working on your why statement. This is where you can put in information about yourself. And what you want to talk about for those of you that are new to real estate is how some of the experiences and whatever you were doing prior to real estate is going to help you with real estate. Okay. There's this page with multiple pictures. And then there's this page, same basic page. You pick the one that you like best for style and you customize it for your presentation. Okay. Dialogue might go something like this. There's a lot of information about me on this page. I want you to think of this as my resume and job application to earn the right to represent you in the home buying process. Before I got into real estate, I was a school teacher. Loved teaching, loved being, and being a successful realtor, I've learned involves a lot of understanding the process and being able to explain it to my customers to help them so that they make good decisions. Also want to make sure that you know that you can ask me any questions as we go through this process, any questions so far. So now, if you weren't a school teacher, you wouldn't use anything like this. But if you were a nurse, you might say something like, there's a lot of information about me on this page. I want you to think of this as my resume and job application to represent you in the home buying process. Before I got into real estate, I was a nurse because I love helping people. Being in real estate lets me help people and use my education and learning about new things to do for my customers. If you were a salesperson before in a different industry. So again, you're going to create your own dialogue, but it starts with a lot of information about me on this page. I want you to think of this as my resume and my job application to earn the right to represent you in the home buying process. And here's what I did. And if you've had some success already, if you've already sold a couple of properties, if you already listed a couple of properties, if you've helped somebody else, you can talk about those as well. Okay. And then you always ask any questions so far, because if they say no, then that means they're moving along with you. That's an implied. If they say, yes, why should I do business with you as a new realtor? And then you'll want to have an answer for that kind of a question. When you get to this page and the next few pages gives us an opportunity to introduce the company a little bit more, talk about the company a little bit more, why you're here and why that's important. So your dialogue might be something like this. As a real estate professional, I could work for any real estate company, but I want you to know there's a really important reason that I chose to work for Weichert Realtors. Jim Weichert has been leading this company for over 50 years, and he's a business leader who puts people first, especially his clients and customers. His philosophy, which is summarized on this page, is people by people before they buy products or services. And we believe Weichert people are the best because at Weichert, we put our clients and customers first. By the way, that's also my philosophy. And you pause, and then you go to the next page, okay? This page and the next two pages, more information to talk about Weichert. Again, not going to read everything on the page, going to highlight 2 or 3 points, and let the customer read the rest. For example, so this page and then 2 more pages that are all about us, what we do, how we do it, and your dialogue and your script might go something like this. Our company has grown into one of the largest independently owned and operated providers of real estate and homeownership services in the nation, with more than 500 offices nationwide in key markets around the United States. What's fueled this growth is our dedication to Jim Weichert's customer first philosophy, which we already talked about. What my customers tell me they like most about working with me is that I take the time to understand what's important to them in a home and a neighborhood, and to explain all the steps in the process. They especially like knowing that I'm going to do all the research on any home they might be interested in, and then negotiate on their behalf to get them the best deal that I possibly can. Isn't that what you want in your realtor? And when you ask that question, you shake your head up and down like this, and they will mirror your body language and they'll go, I mean, I've never had anybody tell me, nope, I want a realtor that's going to get me the worst deal they possibly can and make me pay the highest price I possibly can. Okay. Isn't that what you're looking for in a realtor? And then you go to the next page. Now, remember when we talked about asking questions, open-ended questions to get the people to talk about themselves? Make sure that when they do that, you take notes and you remember what those things are. Demonstrating that what is important to them is important to you is how you build rapport with people that you've recently met. And this is where we demonstrate that we were paying attention and that what was important to them, we made note of that, and we understand that that's what we're going to be doing. Okay. So when you talk to them on that initial call, you might have talked to them and said, okay, well, the reason that we're looking to move is because we have a 6-year-old that's going to be going into the first grade and we want to be in this particular school district. We've got a new baby on the way and we need a bigger house, whatever it is that you learned about them when you had that initial conversation. There's an old adage, and this is not just a real estate adage, but it's a people first kind of a saying, and that is caring about what others care about is what caring is all about. And when you do this and you do it properly, you've demonstrated that what's important to them is what you care about and that that's important. It's also how, as I mentioned earlier, how you build rapport. I don't know how many of you remember, ever watched or remember the old TV show Frasier. Anybody ever watch that? Frasier? Yeah. What was Frasier's job? What was it? What was his profession?
He was a
Anybody?
therapist?
He was a psychiatrist or a psychologist, a therapist. And so we would watch the TV show Frasier. And then at the end of the show, it always ended the same way. It was after everything we'd seen with Frasier and his family and his dad and his brother and the dad's dog and all that kind of crazy stuff. And Roz, then he was at the radio studio. He was a radio therapist. He was at the radio studio signing on to his real job, and he always signed on the exact same way. And I use this because it helps you remember what you need to do. And it was, hello, Seattle. This is Dr. Fraser Crane. I'm listening. I'm listening. And so listening to our customers, demonstrating that what's important to them is important to us is how we build rapport. And that's what a really good real estate salesperson and real estate professional does. Okay. So for this page and this page, your script might be something like this. By the way, when we talked on Monday, you told me that you had a 6-year-old entering the first grade. You wanted to be in the Chelsea Heights School District. You also told me you had another one on the way. Congratulations. And that you needed a minimum of 3 bedrooms and preferred a fenced backyard. By the way, the more I know about your specific needs in a home and what you really want, the better job I can do for you. Is there anything else motivating this move or any other specifics you're looking for that would help me do a better job for you? Okay, that's your script. You've demonstrated that you care about what they care about. Okay. Next page. One of the more important pages in the presentation, and here's why. It's only a little bit of script at the very bottom, but most people, especially first-time home buyers and new agents, we find work a lot with first-time home buyers. Most people know somebody who thinks of themselves as a real estate expert. Might be a friend, might be a family member, mom, dad, brother, sister, daughter, whatever. But we need to find out what people have been telling them about the market here, about the process and things like that. And so when you get to this page, you just ask, tell me what you've heard about the market here in Chicago, here in Denver, here in Los Angeles, here in Salt Lake, wherever you are. Tell me what you've heard about the market here and write it down. Write it down. And then after you've unpacked that, because if they're thinking crazy stuff because somebody's been giving them really bad advice, better to know that up front. So listen carefully, take notes. That's where your buyer needs assessment comes in. And then your dialogue might be mostly correct, but some things have changed. You don't want to tell them that it's, I don't know who's been feeding you that BS, but never say anything like that. Mostly correct, but some things have changed, which gives the person that's giving them bad information an easy out. And then you can either correct misconceptions here or later in the presentation. And then you come to this page. And what we're going to do here, this is kind of describes the law of supply and demand in real estate. And up until the last few months, we've had in almost every market, very little supply, big demand. Prices continue to go up, even though interest rates are high and crazy stuff like that. But what you say here is this illustrates how market conditions are likely to affect the home buying process. Here in Miami, we are currently in what would be described as, and this is one of the things that you'll customize here. See these 3 yellow boxes? We're in what's considered a seller's market with the average home selling in less than a month and a shortage of inventory. Okay. And so you tell them seller's market means that we're going to need to move pretty quickly when we find one. Okay. Buyer's market might mean that we have more room to negotiate when we find a home and we have a little bit more time. But your broker, coach, mentor will help you with this. And this is what you customize for your presentation. This is one of the 2 most important pages. So I remember I told you one of the objectives is to get them in a position to buy at the right price when they find the right property. Okay. And so with this, you're going to use the page in this presentation, but you're also going to need to do a little bit of extra work, and you're going to need to go to your multiple listing service and download, and here are the instructions right here, 6 or 8 recently sold properties that sold relatively quickly at or very close to, maybe even just above list price. Okay. And you need to know how to find those, and you'll have to get your coach or fellow sales associate to help you with that. You're going to take those. And by the way, sold quickly is different in different markets. 3 years ago, sold quickly meant that we put it on the market and we had offers by the end of the day, same day. Today, sold quickly might mean we put it on the market, and by the end of the first 45 days, we had an offer and it went under contract, or even 2 months. When I first got into real estate, if you got a listing and it sold within 3 months, that was considered a quick sale. Changes from market to market, and it changes overall by what's happening in the market. But you're going to take those comparables that you download from the MLS, and you're going to get yourself a red Sharpie, and you're going to circle the list price, and you're going to circle the sold price, and you're going to circle the days on the market. And then you're going to present those to the buyer, and you're going to say something like this. This is one of the most important things that you need to know. Homes that are priced right, the best homes, are still selling fast. Let me show you what I mean. And then you take and you might say, here's one, came on the market for $389,000, sold for $396,000, only 18 days. Here's another, here's another. And then you say, the reason I'm showing you this is because I'm quite confident we're going to be able to find you and your family a great home. But what we don't want to have happen is for us to do all this work just to find the right home, maybe even your dream home, only to have you lose it because you thought you had all the time in the world. So here's what we're going to do. When we find the right one, and you tell them, and by the way, you'll know, when we find the right one, we're going to come back to the office. We're going to do our research to make sure that it's priced right. And then we're going to get our paperwork done to make sure you don't lose the one that you may like the best. Make sense? And you shake your head up and down like this, and they will mirror your body language, and they'll go, yeah, I guess that does make sense. Okay. This is to get them ready to buy when you find the right one. Okay. This page, by the way, is also a good place to talk about the possibility, which we're still seeing in many markets, of multiple offers, buying and bidding competition. And if that's what's happening in your market, you need to talk to your broker, manager, coach, mentor, trainer, whomever, about how you handle that in your particular office. This is a page that's designed for us to do a couple of things. One, compliment, and then plant a seed. Okay. When we compliment, we build rapport, but we also want to plant a seed so that they don't procrastinate. Okay. Because sometimes people look and they go, we're going to wait for. Okay. People that have been waiting for interest rates to come down will never make up what they've lost in prices going up because of their waiting for rates to come down or hoping that prices are going to come down. Just doesn't happen. So when you get to this page, you might say something like this. By the way, your timing is good. Interest rates are a bit up compared to the last few years, but still reasonable and have recently taken a tick down. However, they could move up again along with the price of homes. Now, the reason that we say that is because one of the things we know from psychology is that more people are motivated by fear of loss than they are opportunity for gain. Okay. And we want them to be thinking, well, I wouldn't want it to go up because then my payments might go up. Okay. So we get a little dialogue here. This is where we talk about the importance of financing and the importance of getting pre-approved. Okay. Pre-approved. When you make that initial appointment, you can ask this question. I'm going to give you a great way to ask the question about whether a person's qualified or not. But I tell agents when I coach you that you should never show homes until it used to be two things have happened, but now it's three things. First, they've been pre-approved. A lot of sellers won't even schedule an appointment unless they know that you're bringing somebody that is pre-approved. Second, until you've delivered the home buyer consultation so that you can determine what they need and also their motivation. And third, until they've signed your buyer agreement. And so here you can talk about some of the advantages. And when you make that initial appointment, I always ask after you've scheduled the appointment, you can ask, by the way, this is the question. I think it's on the next page. Have you spoken with a mortgage professional so that you know what your buying power is in today's rapidly changing real estate market? The reason that we ask the question that way is, again, little things, big difference, is sometimes if you ask somebody, by the way, are you qualified for a $400,000 property? They take that the wrong way. Okay. Sometimes if you ask if you've been pre-approved, they might think that's none of your business. Okay. But I've never heard anybody that reacted negatively to this question because everybody wants to know what their buying power is. Have you spoken with a mortgage professional so that you know what your buying power is in today's rapidly changing real estate market? Every real estate professional needs to have a go-to mortgage partner that is dependable, trustworthy, hardworking, that you can say, hey, look, I've got an appointment with a buyer tomorrow at 4 o'clock. I need you to be on standby. So if I need to get you on the phone with them so that you can, or need to have you in the office, or need you to be able to talk to them at 4:15, they say, not a problem. Okay. So that they can do that pre-approval. Okay. And the other thing is to talk about why they should use yours. If you ask that question when you make the appointment and they say yes, you say, bring that with you. By the way, would you like to get a second opinion? We've got a great mortgage person, and a lot of times people will want a second opinion, but really, really important. And how you ask the question. Okay. This page, I told you the page with the where we're going to show the listed for, sold for, time on the market, one of those pages. This may be the single most important page in the entire presentation because this is where we talk about all the different things that we do for the buyer prospect to convince them, to persuade them, to demonstrate to them why having a professional realtor working for them is so, a professional Weichert realtor working for them is so vitally important. Okay. Now, there are two versions of this page. Okay. One in the upper left, one in the bottom right. Both say the same thing. Pick the one you like best. I prefer the one on top because I like the pictures better. Pick this when you do your presentation. And here's what you might say as you're going through this. So this is a bigger version of that. And here's the dialogue. As you can see from this home buying map, there's a lot of work that goes into finding you the right home. And you might go through some of these different steps. We're here at step 1 today. Okay. I'm going to help you with I'm going to introduce you to a great lender who can give you an idea of what your buying power is. And by the way, some people that thought they could only afford this much found out they could afford this much because of the different kind of loan programs that they have available. We're going to look at homes. If we find one you like, I'm going to do all the paperwork. And you can talk about as many of these as you feel necessary based on the vibes that you're getting from the customer that you're sitting across the table from. Okay. And then you say, again, as you can see, a lot goes into finding the right home. I'm not complaining. I love what I do, but I just want to know that if we do all this work together, I can be confident that I am your realtor. Let me tell you what that means. If we don't happen to find the home that you're looking for today, and let's say you're driving to the grocery store 2 days from now and you see a home that you think might be the one, even if it's got somebody else's sign in the front yard, you're going to call me because you know I'm going to do the research to make sure that it's a good deal for you. I'm going to take care of everything, all of those things that we talked about on that other page. Okay, can I count on you? And again, body language, and you get them to mirror your body language. Very, very important. This is also, I mean, we're going to ask them to sign an agreement, but this is also, we don't want them to sign an agreement with us and then go find something that they like and not include us. Okay. This page. This has, once you get this and you can read this in more detail, and I know you can't see me, I'm pointing at I have two screens set up here. So, but this big yellow box on the screen here has a lot of the same things that are in this that we're going to reiterate. My mother always taught me when she told me something over and over and over again. And if I got any moms in the group, you know exactly what I'm talking about, that repetition leads to learning. Okay. So we'll talk about a few more of these, and my dialogue might go something like this: is talk about maybe one or two of these things. And then I say, the most important thing is helping you find the best home for you and your family, helping you secure the financing that you need, and getting you moved in on your preferred timeline. Sound good? Which is another closing question. And again, we smile and shake our head up and down like this when we ask this question. Okay. Here. Now, this page, when you first see this and you log into my marketing studio, is going to be in a different position than you see it here. I think this is the best place for it. It actually comes a couple of slides later, the way that you're going to see it, unless they adjust it. But I think it's important to put it here because I'm going to use this as something I'm going to sign. I'm going to make a pledge. I'm going to put my promises in writing before I ask them to sign. Okay. So when you get to this page, what you're going to do is you're going to have this pledge printed out right next to you, and you're going to take it and you're going to sign it and you're going to hand it to them. And then you might say something like, this is my pledge to you in writing, so that you know that you can count on me to do everything that I have promised to do. To my knowledge, we're the only company that provides a written pledge to our customers like this. That's what you're looking for, isn't it? And then you're going to come here and you're going to talk about how you can represent them. This has some of the same things as on the roadmap, but it also goes into the different kinds of properties that you can help with them. New construction, builders, for sale by owners, open houses, expired listings, and all other broker listing. And I think this is the place where we want to get our agreement out. Again, this has given us an opportunity to further sell our value package, to get our agreement out to say, and this is the paperwork that we need to sign before we move on. Effective August 17th. We must have a written agreement with the buyer before we're able to work with them to show them properties. And so you need to get with your broker, find out what the paperwork looks like in your office, and make sure that you know how to present that and how to get it signed. Okay. And then this is the last page, and you go, any questions? If not, then let's go. Our first appointment's in 15 minutes, and we don't want to keep the seller waiting. By the way, before I ask you a couple of questions, if you don't already have a pre-approval letter and you need your mortgage lender that you like to use to talk to these people, this would be a place where you can say, you know, based on everything I've learned here, I've just thought of a couple of other properties that could be what you're looking for. Let me see if I can make an appointment for them also and add them to our tour list. And while I'm doing that, how about you talk to Bob, the lender, and he can show you what other buying options you might have, and you hook them up with your lender. Okay. So here's my question for you, and then I'm going to let you see if you have any more questions for me. Wow. 225. I made it. I was a little nervous. First time going through this new slide deck. But how many of you, and if I can't see you, I mean, if I can see you, you can raise your hand. If I can't see you, I need you to put this in the chat box. How many of you can see yourself using this presentation that you've just seen me walk you through? Okay. I don't think I missed anybody I can see. Chat box for those of you that haven't raised your hand. Okay. Any questions, any more questions for me before I give you your assignment for session 3? Any more questions for me? Any comments? Any suggestions? Bueller? You guys remember that Bueller? Ferris Bueller's Day Off? The guy, where's Bueller? Like, where are you guys? No, nothing. I got nothing. Come
I
on.
have a question.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you ever run into a situation, I know you're not practicing currently, but where they say, no, we don't have time, let's just get to the listing?
Yes.
Okay.
And what you say is, we need to meet, even if we can't meet at my office,
Mhm.
we need to meet first because the seller has asked that we make sure that we don't bring anybody to their home that we haven't already met and had a conversation with.
Okay.
Okay. So best place to meet is at your office.
Mhm.
Second best place is at a neutral location like a coffee shop, sandwich shop. I mean, Starbucks, even McDonald's has Wi-Fi or whatever, because you can actually give this presentation in those places. And we just say, you know, we can't do that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions? Any feedback? You like it? Have you seen the old one? Anybody seen the old one? Yes, no? Boy, it's mighty quiet out there. You guys are making me nervous. All right, here's your assignment. I've worn you out, I think. So first of all, you'll get an email with a recap of the assignment and also a link to today's session so that you can watch it again and again and again. Make sure you get that dialogue down, learn your dialogue. But here's what I want you to do. To be skillful, to be like my man, Liam Neeson, with a set of skills. You have to practice. You have to drill. You have to rehearse. When I first got started in real estate, there were a couple of things that weren't my favorite things to do. And so I got myself an accountability partner and a practice partner. And like when it was time for us to make prospecting phone calls, we would sit together. I would make a call. He would listen to my side of the conversation. At least we didn't have all that fancy stuff where you could record conversations back then. And then he would coach me, and then I would listen to him, and then I would coach him, and then we would practice with presentations. So that's what I want you to do. First of all, schedule an appointment with your broker, trainer, mentor, manager, coach, whomever, to go over the buyer broker agreement used by your office. So you become very familiar with that, because the more familiar you are with that, the more important it is, easier it is when it's time to get it signed, that you'll be able to explain it and use it. From the Weichert tools section of my Weichert, download that need assessment. It gives you all of the kinds of information that you want to ask your buyer about. Helps you with the questioning process. It's like your checklist of things to know about a buyer so that you can do a really good job for them. When available, not yet, but when available, go to my marketing studio, personalize, download the presentation so you can start using it. And then most important, two things. First, pick a virtual platform. You can use Google Meets, you can use Meet Me, you can use, I mean, there's a half a dozen different things. Zoom, you can even get a free Zoom account where you don't have to have anybody else on the Zoom meeting with you. You can do it completely solo so that you're not nervous about anybody else watching, but record yourself going through the slides and delivering the dialogue, and then watch your recording. Absolutely one of the best ways to learn. And then find yourself a practice and accountability partner that you can do this together. One practice session, they're the buyer, you're the agent. Next practice session, you're the buyer, they're the agent. And then practice, practice, practice. Because if you want to get good, you got to practice. And everybody who is a professional at everything will tell you that. Last chance for questions. Good session today?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell Shauna when you see her next. She's the head coordinator now for all Fast Track. Thanks for spending part of your day with me. I hope you've enjoyed this half as much as I did. I love teaching and training new Weichert agents. Hope to see some of you on, if anybody's in my region, which is Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida. I know a couple people are. Hope to see you on stage picking up an award after you've just done such a great job listing and selling real estate with Weichert Realtors. And may you have every success that you're looking for in real estate. Bye.
I'm just curious.